Excited today to be joined by a true algo trading expert in the short-term power markets. Today, I'm joined by Helmut Spindler from PowerBot. He's the CEO. So welcome, Helmut.
Hello, and thank you for having me, Patrick.
No problem. Helmut, I was actually thinking earlier, about 6 months ago, maybe a bit longer, we had a conversation when I was first thinking of doing a podcast. And you were one of the people that actually really encouraged me to do it and gave me the confidence that it is a good idea and people would be interested. So I think I've got to thank you for giving me the nudge to go and do the podcast.
Glad to see that people are interested. I hear it on a regular basis and I really enjoy it. It's an interesting choice of people that are on the podcast to listen to.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, it's good to have you as a guest now then. So what we'd normally do at the start is just, introduction to yourself for anyone who doesn't know you, doesn't know your story, and obviously talk about how PowerBot came to pass and what you guys do as well. That would be super interesting.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So I start with myself. So Helmut, I'm in the industry since close to 15 years. I've never been a trader. I worked as an energy market consultant before that. And the area of consultancy was mainly in portfolio management, origination, and trading operations. So in a sense, running balance groups and doing nominations and hedging risk on long-term portfolios. That's my origin. So I'm very deep in energy markets, but I didn't come along the classical energy trader route. And within the consultancy in 2017, we had a project to automate short-term trading processes. And we approached the problem in a bit of a different way than others did, because if you're doing things on a daily basis, you have a very clear conception of what you're having, what you're doing in ComTrader or as a Nord Pool dashboard, and how we would add features to it. But we basically had a very open approach to it and thought it more from a portfolio management, problem-solving aspect. And we had a look at the market at this time. So 2017, this was still quite early in short-term automated trading, and we didn't really find what we were looking for. So we built it for our own purpose. But we didn't build a better trading screen. We built a quantitative, fully automated trading platform for ourselves. That was in 2017. This is when we did the first trade. And this was just a side project. This was something going on for 1 or 2 hours a day. We talked to people in the industry and they said, the approach you took, it's very interesting. It could also be interesting for us. So we said, okay, now if we make it a product, will you buy it? And they said, we are. So we turned it into a product. It was an early stage internal development stuff. We turned it into a product and we started to sell it. And actually, people were bought in on the story because they said, okay, this is what we really need. So it gathered a few clients over the years until 2019. And we thought, okay, what do we do with it? And I had other obligations. I didn't have the time for it. So we slowly, the thought arrived that we said, okay, we should make a dedicated company for this and really focus on the idea. This is what we did in mid-2020 when we founded a company for PowerBot. So I went over, my colleague Max, our CEO, also joined the company, and we started to build from there and build the team around the early product that we have and developed the product. And then it really started rolling. And as of today, it's now 3.5 years. We have close to 60 clients at the market. Around 20% of the trades on Apex Spot are going through our platform, and it's been a huge success. But we're just arriving.
Yeah. Awesome. That's a really good story, I think. Like when you think when you want to start a business, it's a really great way of doing it. So you yourselves internally had a problem. So then you built your own solution, and then you realized that other people had the same problem and you could probably help other customers with this solution. So then you started to grow organically from there.
It just kind of happened.
Great way to start a business.
I think it really helped us that we had a bit of a different approach of thinking, because we were actually, we have been very deep in energy market, but we always had these portfolio management, problem solving, bigger picture for us. It was not about how to send the order, but to solve the portfolio problem of closing a position or trading flexibility. We had a kind of different Swift with it, and also we had a pure API and quantitative focus from the beginning. We never intended to build a solution where people would sit in front and enter orders. Because in our world, it was clear that this is a fully automated process and that quants and developers are using this. In the meanwhile, there are also traders that use the platform to execute, but our origins are very strong in API and quantitative models.
Yeah. No, it's interesting that you said it was 2017 that you started looking into this area, because I think that was the first time I ever recruited in algorithmic trading within energy as well. Because prior to that, literally, it wasn't even a thing, was it? Really, algorithmic trading within energy.
Yeah, there were a few
very
players
early
around, but it was all very early. Yeah, also I think also the market was prepared at this. Was slowly preparing at this time. So in 2013, 14, 15, I think this was a very new concept, and then it just took off. And I think that's natural because we have so many renewables now in the market that need to be traded. We have so much assets that need to be connected to the market. So in a way, there's no other possibility than to automate.
So as you say, you've gone from 2017, building it yourself, then obviously forming a company to obviously offer this to customers in launching PowerBot. And now I would class you as like one of the main players in the space in what you do. But would you agree there?
Yeah, definitely. So with close to 60 customers in this segment, we're one of the two champions in this area. Yes.
Yeah. And who's your typical type of customer then? And what are they looking for from you guys?
Yeah, this can be very different. It's as diverse as the list of members of the exchanges that we are talking to. I mean, there are a few typically clients that let's focus on use cases because the companies typically have different use cases. So one of the use cases that is obvious is renewable trading. You have wind parks, you have PV in large scale, and you need to trade out the open position in the intraday market. That's obviously one. The second is flexible assets, be very complex assets like pump hydro storages that need an optimizer in front of it, but also gas power plants, power to heat. Then a special form that deserves its own mentioning it as an own use case, that's batteries.
Yeah.
With all the complexity that you have there, from multi-market optimization between ancillary and short-term power markets, and the approach and connecting the assets. So that's definitely one thing. Obviously, then there are prop traders. They would categorize in a lot of, let's say, sub-use cases as well, from arbitrage traders to more fundamentally driven players. Prop traders is obviously huge in algorithmic trading. They are the front runners. They also adopted very quickly. And what we also see as use cases are new business models, new business ideas. So PowerBot's clients are startups as well that are building the next big thing in energy that involves short-term power trading. If it's trading as a service application or decentralized assets or EV charging, infrastructure, so then they can connect to it. So our offer is also we want to be an enabler.
Yes.
Our general attitude to this is that we're very open. We focus on our core niche and allow the customers to build their own vision on top of it.
No, it feels like such an exciting space at the moment. Like you mentioned startups. Yeah, there's being at eWorld, feels like there's a lot of companies that are still relatively early in this journey and forming new companies being formed, battery optimization being such a red hot topic at the moment. So it's exciting times.
It's digitalization going on. And if we would have talked 5 years ago, I would say digitalization is in full rush. But today, I'm not sure if we're not even just at the beginning. Things are changing very quickly, and I think when you go around at eWorld, you can see this.
Well, when I saw you at eWorld, you looked like you didn't have a minute. You were so busy. You were constantly demoing all day, it seemed.
Yeah, it's the event of the year.
So, and just on that, you mentioned a 5-year time horizon. Like, so what are like the big changes that you've seen over the course of PowerBot?
I mean, what the constant thing is obviously change, because these markets are changing on a regular basis. We didn't have, let's say, huge market design changes except for the introduction of XBit in 2018 for the first major wave. The next thing will be the intraday auctions. So this is changing, but the main thing that I'm seeing is the companies are changing and their attitude to technology is changing. The pace is very different from company to company, but I think what we can all see is that energy trading companies are becoming fitter in technology, and the questions they ask, they are changing. So previously it was like, okay, can this also be on-prem and or cloud? Nowadays, if you talk about Kubernetes deployments of algorithms, they are opposite. Very likely knows what you are talking about, and they're gearing up in a sense. So the requirements are changing.
No, I've seen that too. The adoption of cloud technology and using Kubernetes technology in the last like 3 years. You know, I think when I first started recruiting in that space 5 years ago, it was very early. There wasn't many adopters, especially in like Germany. But yeah, the last 2 or 3 years, it's kind of customary that they've already started to have these teams that have these kind of technologies in place now as well. I've seen that too.
For you as a recruiter, I think it's also interesting saying what are the teams that are winning? And the teams that are winning is that can combine a lot of, let's say, competences. Sometimes you have people that understand energy markets and trading and software and data science. And sometimes you have people that can combine this, or the teams are combining this. But these are all competences you need to build a successful algorithmic trading floor. And
absolutely, I think
it's difficult if you miss something from that.
Yeah, the companies that are really I see winning is when they apply fundamental knowledge with like best in class machine learning, data science to run automated trading. Like, and if they're really deep in both, if they've got expertise in both and they're collaborating, then that's where I think the magic happens with these firms that I've seen.
I've seen teams though that focus on one part very strongly. Machine learning specialists right out of university, so very good with no experience in energy markets. They also survived. But basically, if you want to have a sure bet, we want to bring in these different competences, and they are needed. So you need a software developer in your team, and you need a data scientist.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's quite hard to get fundamental to buy into automation as well, because it's perhaps thinking, they're going to take our jobs, but I don't think that's the case at all. Like, when they combine and start working really well together, I think that's when you can see the huge like impact on results. And I think there's the firms that I know who've already combined and got that culture are doing extremely well and are innovating more than others.
There's definitely still room to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Something you mentioned, which I'd like to dig into, because I know it's a hot topic at the moment, is intraday auctions. Obviously, that's going to be a change this year. Am I right in saying, into the market?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the big change that's coming up in the continental markets. Probably to the listeners that are based in the UK and are not so much in the as a model, the EU market is coupled in the intraday market. So through the SIDC, formerly known as XBit system, it's basically an integrated market. And if you enter an order in Hungary, it might show up in Spain in the order book, and you can click it. And this way, with a central order book and a capacity module, we are maximizing the utilization of capacity in the European market, which is a very good thing, but the capacity is for free. So there is no costs associated to these capacities. It's a first come, first served thing. And I think that's different to the day-ahead market, where we have the coupled auctions. So where we have a market clearing price, and obviously then we're also utilizing the capacities there. But we will see different market clearing prices across countries. And there's a difference between those. So there's a revenue to be made, and this revenue is allocated to the transmission operators to build further transmission lines. So they are actually is in generating revenue to build new transmission lines from the day-ahead market, but not from the intraday market. And I think that this is probably also one of the aspects why the intraday auctions are introduced. And what will come is that we will have 3 intraday auctions, one at 3 p.m. in the afternoon for the full next day, one at 10 p.m. for the full next day, and one at 10 a.m. for from midday to midnight. They're introduced and they will work very similarly to the day-ahead auctions that we already have, but in a quarter-hour resolution, and they will act as a liquidity pool. And the idea is to release most of the capacity through these intraday auctions during the day. So basically, the capacity is first being used in the intraday auction before it is then released to the intraday continuous market. And another aspect why we are getting this change is because the southern European markets have heavily used several intraday auctions. For example, Iberia, I think, had 6 intraday auctions so far. In order of an harmonization, the agreement was to combine intraday continuous and intraday auctions. What does this mean? It means that the capacities will probably be mainly distributed through intraday auctions, and so it might be a good thing to participate in them. And what the real impact of the intraday auctions on the trading will be is something that nobody really knows what is going to happen, if they will have liquidity, if people are using them. But I think that we need to be prepared for it, and I think that if you're not using them, you're missing out opportunities. They're going to start by the mid of the year, and this is obviously changing the game now again, because the trading process that we currently have was be doing a day-ahead auction. We have an intraday opening auction in some of the markets, and then we're going to intraday continuous. But what the introduction of IDAs actually means is if you don't want to miss out opportunities, you will actually need to trade day-ahead, intraday auction, intraday continuous, intraday auction, intraday continuous, intraday auction, intraday continuous again. So you need a lot of workflows from sending quantities that you want to trade in and out of markets. And that's a challenge itself, because in intraday continuous, we have, at least in our platform, we have concept like very strictly separated portfolios with own risk settings, and then you need to move these quantities from a portfolio in continuous to the auctions. This makes things more complex. This is why we decided to build a solution that can automate these workflows to make it as easy as possible for the customers to make use of this new trading concepts and to have easy to use workflows.
Okay, so just for my understanding there then, it's moving from a continuous market in intraday to a 3 auctions in a day?
Yeah, the continuous market will still be there, but the continuous market is along the timeline. And then you have interruptions with auctions. It's not the full interruption. Actually, you can still trade intraday continuous, but there is no capacity. So you need to assess, if you stay in the intraday continuous market, you need to assess if you're now getting a good price at the market, or if you should wait. So you basically have the 2 trading opportunities at the same time.
So you having a lot of conversations about this with customers and prospect customers at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the thing that really makes it complex, because the trading, as it was done earlier, it was day ahead is in a lot of companies, the day ahead bidding is a manual process. Still, there are automation tools out there, but I think the value of automation is not as high as an intraday continuous. So typically, the day ahead auction is prepared. Probably there are some automated systems in place, but then you have basically almost 3 hours of time to move your quantities to the intraday continuous market, and then you're ready, and then the 24/7 trading starts. This is how it's now, and this transfers and these processes, or it's my guess, they are not fully automated in a lot of companies, and now you need to have these processes quite often And so what we now did with PowerBot is to integrate our portfolio concept also with auction portfolios that you can seamlessly trade day ahead into the auctions and intraday continuous with an integrated risk management module to really know, okay, what are you trading? What is your, you can say, okay, this is the wind park that I'm trading here.
So you're actually helping customers who, go into the intraday auctions.
Yes, right. But what we are helping them is to get the workflows done. And to set them up in a fully automated way. We probably didn't really speak about PowerBot and the product itself. It's an algorithmic execution platform, obviously. But PowerBot is an API-first execution server where you can set up strategies on it. And there are strategies that we provide for the clients if they need position closing or flexibility trading for assets. This is something we can set up for them, and they can also build their own. And this is where the real strength of PowerBot is. So custom algorithm development. A lot of solutions allow you to implement custom algos, but PowerBot's feature set in there is very, very good. So you can deploy your own stuff. And it's also very powerful market connector, not only speed-wise, but also gives you all the market data. So you can, if you check out our LinkedIn, you sometimes see some postings on order book situations. This is data grabbed by PowerBot. So this is what we're doing. This is our product, and it goes from out-of-the-box delivery of solutions to custom algo development and building custom infrastructure. And then this is now connected to the intraday continuous market, and we are currently integrating day-ahead auctions and intraday auctions in a seamless way. This is what we've done in the last few months.
Awesome. Sounds like you've been busy then.
Yeah. There are a lot of things happening at the same time.
Yeah. Cool. And like you mentioned earlier, that there's people who aren't really sure of the impact of intraday auction. So is there like a bit of a mixed feeling? Some think it might be a really good opportunity, or others less convinced? What's the general consensus?
I think there was a lot of polarization on intraday auctions. Actually, the CV market mainly opposed it, because they said, hey, we have 24/7 trading setups already. Why should we interrupt this? The southern markets were coming from a system where they had a lot of auctions. They said, well, that's working well. I think that the advantage of intraday continuous is you can trade up to 5, or NordPool, you can actually trade until real time to delivery start. That's a huge thing, So if you're trading, and definitely a market like Germany or UK is more advanced than Italy or Spain in terms of liquidity on the intraday continuous market. So I think that these markets are already functioning very well. But I think that there are also arguments for intraday auctions that are valid, that we can create a liquidity pool across Europe. So at the same time, to bring this in, it also allows the commercialization of capacities. And I think it's also good that they are commercialized to build new transmission lines instead of, let's say, profits resulted for traders. So it's a mixed feeling.
So the profits will be used to help build infrastructure.
Yes.
Cool. So that is definitely going to help the energy transition. Like, if the more this is used and commercially starts to be successful.
Yeah, that's the model that we have on the day-ahead market. If you're doing coupled auctions with market clearing prices in every country, then if there are differences where revenue is distributed, and this will also happen here. In the intraday continuous market, it's now the advantages that are out there are social welfare.
Awesome. When is this actually going to be implemented?
The official date is 19th of June, but that's the official date.
Yeah, not long then.
Not long then, right? The question is if this date will hold.
Okay,
or if it will be September.
Watch this space, I guess. Awesome, thanks for that. So I think there's also another key change in the market. Incoming new legislation is Remit 2. I think probably worth talking about that. What do you think?
Yeah, Absolutely. So I think that Remit 2 is something that every algo trading company needs to have on the radar. It's in the making since quite a while. So the original Remit regulation was published in 2011, if I'm correct. Now gets a major update, and one of the updates that are included are rules on algorithmic trading. It now went through the council, so it's like signed. It will then be published in April, most probably, and then I think it's just a few weeks until it is in charge. So I think it will be live from May. What does it do? There are a few things worth mentioning. First of all, you need to inform the regulatory, the national regulatory body about algorithmic trading. The definition of algorithmic trading is not fully clear. I would say that all form of automated order execution are subject to this. So you need to inform the regulator that you are involved in these activities, and they may ask you to describe what you're doing, describe the strategies, either once or on a regular basis. So they want to know what the trading companies are doing. That's the first thing. Second thing is that it puts more stress on resilient trading system to be in place, but when it comes to risk management and business continuity. So that this is all a bit vague. It's a very general regulation, but in my opinion, business continuity must be clear. I think there's a really good internal risk management system. I think that this is the result of it. I also think that state-of-the-art cross-trade recognition is a thing, audit logs and all this kind of thing. That's obviously things that we are doing with PowerBot, especially risk concepts are very important for us in there to distribute stuff. So there are a few more things in there that where they want to see that the systems that the customers are having are really fit for that. I think that this is really a big thing for DIY solutions out there. And another thing is record keeping. So the requirement is that all the records about trading activities need to be kept for 5 years. I think it's also not fully clear what should be kept. We do have our opinion in this and have informed the clients, and are also providing a service for them to store this. We go as far as fingerprinting the algorithm that runs to be able to recreate behavior. But it's a question. I think we will further see further information in Remit guidances and Q&As and how they are seeing this. But it's going quickly. It's not enough. It's not a lot of time to adapt.
Yeah, it feels like it's very close, and perhaps I don't know if every company's ready for it. I guess you'd have to have a pretty sophisticated risk management and algo operations team now to make sure you are compliant with Remit 2. Is that what you see, potentially be needed for firms?
I think it depends very much on the setup that you are having. I think there is trading limits, but there is and risk settings that are built into algorithms and the execution platform to make sure that nothing is going wild. So that we've seen the issues and with Connect. Obviously, this should not happen. Should not be possible that something like this happens. That you're exceeding the net position in an extreme way, in my opinion. The platform needs the possibility to limit the exposure to the market. So that's definitely one thing. The other thing is as an internal risk of what the company is really doing and how much risk it takes. This is something that's the job of a risk management department, and not nothing that we support. But we aim to make the compliance department's job a bit easier.
So in general, do you think this is going to be a big change for a lot of companies, or I
think that the IDAS will be a bigger change for trading processes, but it's a very relevant one. But I also don't know, let's say, how prepared the companies are, to be honest. We are just giving them tools to make this easier. But I think that the discussion on how do I really do it now has fully started yet. We published a bit of information on LinkedIn also recently on this, but it just went through the council on Monday. So I think that there will be more discussion about unclear formulations and things. So I expect this to pick up soon.
Yeah, so a bit more clarity in the coming months, you expect?
Yes. There will be guidance documents that will, because you have a regulation, then you have interpretation of it, right? It's not law texts are not always fully clear. Their interpretation may change.
Absolutely. Interesting. Something I'd like to talk about is, obviously, we mentioned earlier about algorithmic trading. It's still relatively newly adopted in a lot of firms. And there might be people listening to this podcast who are thinking about doing more automation and, aren't 100% sure on the best way to do it. It'd be interesting to get your thoughts on like companies that are going to go through this journey. What are like the main things that they should be aware of, potentially avoid, key things that they should do? Like, it'd be interesting to get your thoughts, because I guess you're consulting with customers all the time in this area.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can tell you how we approach it from a product perspective, because actually this is basically also this is our thinking put into a product. What we do is we have two very strong opposite configurations of our solution. So in a core, our execution server and the algo development frameworks and deployment stuff is designed in a way that you can build your own infrastructure. It's a piece of technology that you can use instead of developing it yourself. It's like a database technology that you're using every day. And there are companies out there that build their full infrastructure, and they're saying, okay, I need a database here, and I need a time series functionality here, and then I need an execution server like PowerBot, and then they put it together. In this case, PowerBot is more in a make or buy decision thing, where they can buy something. So this really allows them to build infrastructure from scratch and build everything. And this is more for the advanced people. Typically, this is the next step of evolution. The first step of entering automated trading is typically an out-of-the-box configuration. And this is what we are doing for some people that are new to the scene. We basically have a look at it. Okay, what is the business problem? It's actually not how do I send the order and how do I trade the order. It's actually one step back. The step back is, okay, I have this asset. And how could I trade this asset? And what we are doing is then we have some larger frameworks for trading strategies, and then we are adjusting them to the needs, backtesting them intensively, changing parameters to see what is the best configuration, and then create the out-of-the-box solution that we are moving towards the client. Where we say, okay, this is the solution. If you click start, it will trade. This is how people typically start, and then they watch it trade and say, okay, interesting. And then when this is done, they start to play with parameterization. So they say, okay, I saw this. This is how it moved. Probably we could change this parameter, and they start exploring. This is typically the second phase, that they are adjusting it and tweaking it, and doing A/B testing for trading strategies to find the optimal configuration. And then they probably arrive at a point that they're saying, okay, now we have an ideal model in mind. This is what we want to build. They can implement it. And I think what's unique in the PowerBot sense is that we can go from the simple out-of-the-box thing that we're introducing, that we're implementing in 4 weeks of time, to, okay, you can do everything using yourself, and you can rip out all these pre-made components and do everything yourself. And typically, we send customers also through this journey and tell them, okay, hey, if this is new for you, you don't know where to start, we give you an out-of-the-box configuration, and we take your hand and we go through with you. Until you arrive there, and the amount of time that you need is open to you, and how quickly that you adapt. And we see some people jump in the middle and saying, okay, we already had something with standard strategies. Now we want to go further. Some of them they go through that. Some of them are directly building things. But it's always good so that they know, okay, we can also get an out-of-the-box configuration that does the job.
Interesting. It'd be good to understand a little bit more about, let's say there's a firm that's a bit more advanced, and they're already started the journey. They've got some internal, data scientists, quant developers, and they're building something themselves. How can you typically help those types of businesses and teams?
This is very specific to the situation. So, in general, it is a make or buy decision. So if you already have a team of a few dozen people that are working on stuff, then if you have a few software developers that building building their own system. And I think what then we can do very well is we can deliver a highly standardized product with a lot of features that we are constantly developing. So typically what we see is then we are better in the feature set. So we have more capabilities at a lower cost. So the question is really, it's for me, I think in a sense, everybody cooks with water. Obviously, we are convinced that this is a very good solution, but are we claiming that we are that much smarter than the clients? No, I think that's not the thing. The question is, where do you want to focus your resources? And my point is always, okay, you need a really good cross-sell recognition in the system, and you need a really flexible risk management solution and portfolio separation and a lot of other things, features that I don't want to spoil in a public podcast. But I think what people value around it. But the question is, do you want to build this yourself? How does it add value to our trading? Typically not, because you don't want to have the best people implementing the cross-sell recognition again, or the position management, or sorting out of order message queues. That's something that is a standardized thing, as a solution that you can get. It's typically cheaper, and then you can use your best people for other things that really create value. And my statement to them is typically think of where do you create value? And there are people there that say, okay, my value is in getting the assets, the flexible asset signed. I'm not caring about the standard algo. This is a job for the standard algos. I'm the person that can integrate them and dispatch them. Then there are other people that say, no, my thing is in the parameterization of the algorithms. I want to change aggressiveness during the day because I'm looking at weather forecasts and I'm seeing, oh, this is wrong, and then they are fine-tuning this and then adding money there. Then there are the people that saying, oh no, I know how to make a good damn algo myself. This is what I'm going to do. And then there are people that are saying, I don't know, we know how to build a big application, own short-term optimization as a product. We just need a market connector because this is something that we can buy and we build the rest of themselves. I always ask them, where do you create value?
Yeah. So what are you saying there? It's not just one standard buy off the shelf kind of solution. It's very customizable for different customers and based on what part of the journey they're on and what do they actually need.
Yeah, correct.
So like very collaborative kind of relationship with the customer.
And we try to be very open, so integrate this with a lot of, let's say, other services around there because that's a huge challenge, having integrations to lots of other software that you need.
Awesome. And just to finish, looking ahead, if we start to think about the next couple of years, what's your view on the future, in the next couple of years of the market, and what PowerBot are going to be really focused on?
That's a good thing. So we are building new, very interesting things that we are not spoiling yet. So we do have a few things in mind. But I think data insights is a big topic. Something that we're looking at. Batteries, asset optimization, integration is something a huge thing. And I mean, from a general energy market perspective, I think the integration of flexible assets and optimizing them across markets and dispatching them is further a thing. I think the holy grail of continuous intraday optimization is not yet found. There are different concepts out there that are experimented with, and it works, but scalability is also a bit an issue. So I think flexible asset optimization will be a huge thing, and I think that digitalization will obviously get stronger. So if we think that the API game will be much more relevant, speed will also become more relevant, and insights and understanding of what drives the market is getting more important.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'd agree. The key things that I hear is all about flexibility, optimization for sure, speed. I think speed, there's a lot of firms that are focused on speed and trying to get faster and faster when it comes to algos. Because I think it's still feels pretty early.
Although I think that speed is relevant, but it's not the most relevant thing. Speed is relevant for certain arbitrage use cases, but I think that if you understand how cross-border mechanisms work, what drives the fundamental price, I think that the profit is higher on a traded on a per megawatt hour basis. So
Yeah.
I do have my own views. I think that fundamental understanding of a market and what is happening is still key. I think the high frequency part is just one market, one part of the niche out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm having conversations with companies that are really good at high frequency, but are looking at how can we improve our fundamentals. Like how can we get an edge in that? Weather forecasting is a big thing, like machine learning models. How can we bring our own proprietary machine learning models for weather? That'll help us create an edge in the market. I think there's a lot of interest in that space. It still feels pretty early, but for that side, I would say.
I want to circle back to your question, because then you said, okay, so what's ahead for energy trading in the next few years? And we've coined the word energy trading transition that you also picked up a bit and you liked it, which I find fantastic, because I found it fantastic thing. And when we did the rebranding of PowerBot, we thought, okay, so what's our claim? And we said, okay, energy trading transition, because we believe the world of energy trading is changing, and the claim is actually towards the energy trading transition, because we are convinced that we are not there, and this is more of a journey. And we don't really also don't know where it is heading and what exactly will happen. I think it will be different from the financial world. I'm very convinced about this is not a one-to-one as a thing, but where is it heading? I don't really know. And in a sense, we and our product are also, let's say, giving this its own spin of what we believe, what is in future of energy trading should be, and what people really need. And there are a few other players out there that are throwing in other hypotheses. And I think that this is very interesting. On people taking bets of what the market needs, and that's the beauty of a market.
Absolutely. It's definitely a very interesting, exciting market. Like I say, I love that, how you coined that energy trading transition. I think I definitely have used that, and I think you're well placed to help clients who are going through that transition. So thanks a lot for your time, Helmut. It's been great to talk to you.
It was a pleasure. We could have chatted for hours. Super. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Yeah. No, next time we'll do it in person. We can talk in a bit more detail.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Helmut.